Hey guys, sorry I didn't reply or shared my analysis on Bitcoin. I've been busy lately, but I figured it'd be easier if I just post a video just to give you guys a kind of a better understanding of the charts, and hopefully you guys will kind of see what I see with Bitcoin. Um, so, so this is just a monthly chart of Bitcoin. So each of these candles, they represent 1 month worth of price action. And what I try to look for are patterns in the cycles of Bitcoin. So, a lot of people, they look at the news and whatnot, but what I tend to do is look for pattern. Hence why I do like a lot of pattern analysis. But anyways, um, first thing I want to show you guys is just this pattern right here. Well, I guess this trend line, which shows the support and resistance and so forth. So anytime price moves up into this trend line, this is the resistance. Obviously you can see price struggle to break out, it gets rejected, it consolidates, it retests, rejected, and then eventually it breaks out and then finds a new resistance at this ceiling here and continues to struggle and then breaks out. So what's unique about this is that each of these, they're equal distance. So it shows you, how high Bitcoin can potentially go before getting rejected. That being said, a lot of people, just technical analysis and chartists, they expected Bitcoin to go, somewhere around this area, which is about 300,000, give or take, considering, past breakout, or also known as blow off top. So currently we are at this like mid stage right here, which is why I have this right here. And as you can see, currently we are struggling to break out this mid level. 2017, it didn't struggle as much. It had a pretty strong candle. It did backtest before it broke out. But this action right here is looking very similar to 2013, where we had this breakout, which, was supposed to go here and here, but it got rejected and then consolidated, retested, and it broke out. So similar to what we are going through right now, we broke out, tested, rejected, consolidated, broke out again, rejected, and then we are right here right now. Another thing I do want to share with you guys is these moving averages. So these are your 9-day moving average and your 20-day. And the purple's 50, the green is 100. We don't have a 200-day yet because, Bitcoin is, I guess you can say, still pretty young. But anyways, what happened is, you want to look at price and where price go, and usually price tends to respect moving averages. And usually when the moving averages converge with resistance, it forces price to either go up, break out, or break down. Similar to right here, you have this blue moving averages, moving average getting closer to this resistance or trend line, and then eventually price broke out. Same with this one, and same with this one. Price getting squeezed between the ceiling, breaking out. So where I'm going with this is currently we are right here with this moving average and this candle, which is the monthly candle, December candle, and we're about mid-month, the 14th. So we got about another 15 plus days until the candle either breaks down fully or gets squeezed, similar to what we saw over here and right here. So what I'm hoping is that Bitcoin will get squeezed and that people will buy this up, and then eventually, the candle will break out, and finish off the blow off top before we go through another consolidation period. To add, to make things much easier to see, I do have these shaded area to show you the different cycles. So the cycle consists of this blow off top and this consolidation period. That's one cycle. The second one, and currently we are on a third cycle. So, me including a lot of people, we expected it to break out, around December, but that wasn't the case. So currently we are going through a consolidation period, which is not scary yet, but a lot of people are freaking out because Bitcoin is very volatile and it can swing like 30% easily or 20%. But currently Bitcoin is consolidating. It's testing the 9 again. And there's a little fear in the market, but I think we're still pretty safe. Let's see what else is there. So another thing I do want to share with you guys is just the cycles. I feel like they are getting kind of weak every cycle. And just to share the reason why I believe that is right here, this trend line right here. So these trend line you see right here, they're not random. They actually come from this red line right here, which is the historical support for Bitcoin since the beginning of 2011. So Bitcoin, every time it touches this red line, it gets bought up and it goes higher. Just this one case with COVID, a big pandemic that caused it to break down, but that easily got bought up and went up. But anyways, this trend line, if you duplicate it, it'll take you to this level right here, which ends at this blow off top. Ever since Bitcoin touched this area, it has never touched it since. For this cycle right here, it actually touched the trend line directly below the pink one. So it shows me that, the blow off tops are getting a little weaker every cycle. And then this cycle that we're currently on, it's on this green one. So it almost seems like, Bitcoin has already topped off. But I think Bitcoin is just extending its floor before it goes a little higher, possibly to this level right here, about 250,000. And the reason I came up with this number is because similar to what we witnessed right here with this blow off top. So what happened was that this blue trend line, as it got closer to this resistance right here, this trend line, this is where the candle actually maxed out. It's between where the convergence of this trend line meets this trend line. So I'm thinking once this green trend line gets closer to this white trend line, which is around either the end of 22 or the beginning of 2023 is when we will get a top for this cycle. And it might not be a pretty cycle. It might extend and break out and then consolidate. So that's where I'm kind of at right now. I'm thinking long term, if you're willing to hold for like a year or two, then you'll be fine. And honestly, I think everyone should have a little bit of Bitcoin in their portfolio. You don't have to put your whole life savings in there, but whatever you're comfortable with. It is risky, but I think it's a good hedge against the stock market or even the US dollar. So where I'm going with this is, this convergence between these two trend lines, similar to what we saw over here with this blue and this white trend line, and even here with this pink and this white trend line. That's where the blow off top finished. So it's looking like, we might get a longer extension of this floor before Bitcoin actually breaks out. So it can look something like this. Something like this. And, it'd be very unfortunate because that's a very long time and a lot of people are impatient. But, we can't control price. All we could do is just, play it accordingly to how it plays out. keep in mind that there's always a chance for a breakdown, for whatever reason, a war or a recession, I don't know. But I personally think it's like a lower probability. If, COVID could not break it down, then I don't think, anything currently will break it down unless it's something dramatic. But it's still a possibility. I give it a smaller probability that it'll break down versus breaking out. But that's just something to be aware of. And the first sign of a breakdown would be, price just continue to sell off. And then when it gets here, honestly, I would continue buying it down to these level. But once it breaks down here, then, it gets a little concerning, because that's kind of like no man's land. We don't know what's going to happen. Again, most of my analysis are based off historical patterns. So when things go off track, then, you get a little nervous, just because you base your analysis on historical pattern. But yeah, so I guess my yearly projection from today is about 262. As much as I wanted Bitcoin to go to 300,000 by the beginning of next year, I don't think it's not looking like it's gonna happen. And as I mentioned, these green and blue trend lines just showing me that if Bitcoin does get to this blue line, it kind of deviates off the weakening blow off top too. So I think 260 around next 2023 to the end of 2022 is a bigger, more of a possibility before the next consolidation period. And then I guess I'll just share with you guys my my long-term view with the next resistance, which can end up being about $500,000. So we're looking at about like $500,000 by 2025, if everything plays out accordingly. I'm thinking possibility if we don't break out and somehow reach this soon, I think Bitcoin's just going to consolidate for a while before it breaks out, and then we might get something like this before reaching the next top. So that's kind of just my long-term projection. I think right now Bitcoin is a good time to buy if you can get it at any of this level. That's fine, especially if you're planning to hold long, because I personally think it's gonna play out and it's gonna go higher. And as I mentioned, this red historical trend line is kind of like the saving grace. We're gonna make an assumption that if it does get here, it will get bought up again, just based off historical pattern. It gets bought up every time it reaches here. So what makes us think it won't get bought up again? But yeah, that's my analysis. Hopefully it helps you guys out. If you guys have any questions, just let me know.